Hi, I'm Jennifer Jumis, and I'm a voiceover artist. When I first started out narrating audiobooks, by definition, I didn't have a demo that I could show anyone. But most of the sites required you to have a demo in your profile to even sign up. So what's an enterprising girl to do? Well, we make our own. So today I'm going to show you the basics of how to create your own DIY audiobook demo. I'm going to show you how to pick the right script and how to do some basic editing in Audacity, which is a free software program. This is important so that you can get your voice out there to the authors who are imagining a sound just like yours to complete their dream project. So the first step is picking the right script. You want to go to Gutenberg.org to find books that are old enough to not have any copyright issues. You can then filter by type or genre, so think about what your voice best conveys, or the type of topic you love reading about. Including your interest is actually really important here, not only so you will enjoy your work more, but because you will naturally read it more fluidly and with more authentic emotion than if you aren't interested in the topic. Although voiceover work is a performing art, we want to maximize your innate ability to get into character by sticking with things you enjoy and are good at. Although there may seem like a lot of steps to go through, don't panic. I'm trying to include every single step as if this is literally your first time making a recording. Once you've done this a couple of times, it really starts to flow. So I'm going to walk you through getting set up before you even hit record. Using Audacity, let's go to Audio Setup. You're going to select your microphone source, mono or stereo, usually you'll be doing mono, etc. You can also do this through the drop-down menus. If you don't see this on your Audacity, you can modify this by going to View, Toolbars, and making sure they're all checked. Now you're going to want to position your microphone 6 to 9 inches away from your mouth and slightly offset rather than straight on. This helps to minimize plosives with P's and T's, etc. Next, we want to check our input levels with the visual meter. That's the moving green bar on the upper right-hand side. We want to aim for between -18 and -10 on average, with no peaks above -6. You can do this by adjusting the gain knob on your interface. Next, you want to double-check for any external noise sources. So don't try to record when you've got laundry in the dryer, the dishwasher running, kids playing next door. And depending on how your house is set up, you may need to even modify whether you've got the AC turned on or not. I'm going to split my screen so that you can see the Gutenberg process as well. So when you start a recording, always leave 5 seconds of blank space at the beginning. That will come in handy later, as you'll see. Okay, so now we're over here at Project Gutenberg, which is Gutenberg.org. As I mentioned, you can do a search for genre or a specific title. I like science fiction and time travel, so one of the demos I started with was The Time Traders by Andre Norton. So you can just type it in, and when you see it pop up, click on it. And then it brings you to several different options of how you want to download or read it. You can read it directly on the screen, you can download it to Kindle or other e-reader, but for today's demonstration, I'm just going to read it right off the screen. And you don't have to start with the first chapter, so consider a passage that will best demonstrate your skill and ability. But again, for today's demonstration, I'm just going to start right with Chapter 1. Here we go. The Time Traders, Chapter 1. Okay, I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to listen to the raw recording. As you record, focus on accuracy, but also on your performance. This is your chance to really shine and let some of your personality come through. Okay, so I'm going to close out the Gutenberg screen so that you can see the Audacity screen more fully. As soon as you are done recording, save your work. I do it as project name _raw. On my very first audiobook, I had not developed a good workflow yet, and I didn't save at the raw recording stage, and I ended up having to re-record, and that means also re-editing and reprocessing, 2 chapters. Boy, did I learn my lesson. Now we move into the editing. That includes removing background room noise, breath sounds, errors, and to check for tone and pacing. I have short videos on those that I will link above and in the description, but I'll also show you quickly here the basics. Okay, so one of the first things I do is click the little down arrow, next to the Audio 1 track and select Multi-View. This allows you to really see the full spectrum of the sound so that you can better visualize and see where your breath sounds are and other things that you'll want to edit out. Next, you're going to select that 5 seconds of blank space at the beginning of your recording. What this did was capture the existing background room noise so that we can then delete it from the whole track. And here's how you do it. After you have it selected, you go up to Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, Noise Reduction. And then you click the Get Noise Profile. That's basically putting into memory the 5 seconds that you just selected. Next, you select the entire track and go back up to the same place, Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, Noise Reduction, and this time we've already done the noise profile, so we go down here and click OK. Now you can play around with some of these settings here. You don't really want to go above an 8 or you'll start getting distortion. And if you're watching the little graph here, you'll notice that that background fuzz really reduced. There's still a few little points here. That's probably where I was clicking the mouse or had some additional mouth noise. We'll take care of that in the next step of editing. So next we're going to copy a couple of seconds of that background space that's the quietest and cleanest on the track. Punch copy. And the benefit of punch copy is that you can apply that to then any amount of space on the track that you select. If you were doing just regular, copy, paste, it would have to be the exact width that you were repeating from your copy paste. But this allows you to then apply it to any section of your track, whether it's 1/4 of a second long or 10 seconds long. So here I'm just going to apply it to a very small section there. And once you've done the copy paste once, the punch paste once, you can just hit Control-R to repeat it. And I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to wait for me to clean up all of the breath spaces. Gone back to the beginning. The other thing I do in editing is if I've had any words that are especially thick on the S's or T's and P's, you can do DS to soften some of those S sounds. And you can do declick to soften some of the other mouth noises that come with your articulation. And when you're done with the editing, we export the audio. Just like we saved our raw file, we want to save this at the end of our editing. Project name, _edit. And then you can do an _V1 for like version 1, version 2, so that if you have to come back and make any changes, you know exactly where to pick up from. And we're also keeping that still in the WAV format. The next step is to apply any processing. This is where you'll apply any EQ to kind of sweeten the whole sound of your voice, or to do any special effects. I did a special effect to change my voice to sound like it was coming over a loudspeaker for an announcement, and I'll put a link above so that you can see how I did that. Now, I'm using plugins that I got from Lenny B, who makes a personalized plugin for your sound. I'll put his link in the description below. I highly recommend working with Lenny. He's a great guy. Once you've got it sounding the way you want, again, we're going to export it. Same process, project name, _processed, and the version. And again, we're keeping it in the WAV format. Okay, so the last step is called mastering, and that's where we adjust the volume level or our peaks, if they're too high, to meet the requirements of whatever platform we're using. So there's a plugin here called ACX Check. I mostly do audiobooks on Amazon's ACX platform. And for them, your peak level can't be above -3, and your RMS levels, which is another way of measuring loudness, has to be between -18 and -23. So if you see here, My peak is just a smidge too high, but my RMS levels are too soft, so we need to adjust the loudness levels, and that's what we do in the mastering. Those specific parameters will vary. If you're exporting to YouTube or other platforms, they'll have a different requirement, so make sure that you are aware of what that is. My program shut down on me, so as I show you this last step, you may notice that the track is not on the multi-view with the spectrum, and that's why. You don't really use the spectrum view after the editing step anyway, but for the sake of transparency, I wanted to explain why it changed. If you're close, you'll be able to just do amplify to raise it a couple of decibels, but since one of mine was a little too soft and one was a little too loud, I use something from Waves called L2, where you can set the out ceiling. I would be around 3, because remember, we don't want to go above 3, that would be too loud. But then you can adjust the threshold, which is basically kind of removing the braking mechanism to allow more sound to come through. But when you're combining it with the out ceiling, it'll make sure it doesn't go above that ceiling that you need. And then in order to monitor it, I use Ulean's loudness meter. And a tip I do is this little green arrow down at the bottom means you can listen to your recording at like double speed. I start that, and then I click over on the Ulean loudness meter, and it'll go through the whole thing much faster than if you were trying to listen to it live. And you'll notice here, the main two that you want to pay attention to is that center gray one, LUFS, and at the bottom, the True Peak Max. So you'll notice I'm pretty close to the, 3.5 is pretty good, went a little over there, but I'm still a little bit soft up here, so I need to adjust that a little bit more, let a little bit more sound come through. And so I played around with a little bit until I got it to the levels that I really needed. Now we export. Again, same process, project name, _mastered, and version. Again, still keeping it in the WAV format. And our very last step, now we're ready to send it to our client or upload it to the platform. We're going to export it. We haven't made any changes, but now we're going to export it as an MP3. And one little tip I do is I do project name, then I put my name in the file. This is just one other little way to get your name out there, so when people are reviewing your auditions, your name is also going to be front in their mind. I hope you found this video to be helpful. If so, please subscribe so you won't miss out on my future videos. And if you're looking for a voiceover artist to manage your project, please reach out to me. Email me your script, and I'd be happy to send you a sample recording of your script with my voice. Thanks for listening.